GB Cycles here with an update on April the 2nd. So here I have redrawn my 4-week cycle as the average of this time interval, and the cycle is here in black. Last week I was a bit confused if the cycle is changing or what is going on. As you see, we started this cycle with a small bounce and then we flushed down, so this looked like a very bearish left translated cycle, and we should have been trending down, into this point. However, it almost looks like an inverted cycle, and something similar was going on earlier when the cycle changed. You see, I have the gray cycle. It was stable for several years, and then it changed over here, and it changed again over here. It's not normal to see the cycle change or shift so often. Anyway, there was a similar occasion here. Back here you see it had a bullish phase, just a small bounce, and we should have capitulated much deeper here, but somehow it managed to stabilize in this bearish phase. This time, however, it almost inverted, or you could say it went sideways into where the bullish phase started, and then up we went in the bullish phase. So at least the bullish phase is still working, but is the cycle shifted or changed? We have to wait and see a couple of weeks. So anyway, if this still is bearish, we shouldn't go much higher here, and at least not make a higher high here. So, but we could have something like this if we are still in a bear market and are making some kind of call it a topping formation here. So could be looking for that, but still a week to go in this bullish phase. Now let's see about cycles. The red here, the 16-17 week cycle has been a dominant one. That one is turning down right now, as well as the composite of these 3 cycles. And actually, almost more or less all the cycles that I'm watching, they are turning down from here. Here's a composite of 6 different cycles, and you see the composite had a topping period around here, and this top was a bit early. We are not quite in sync with the scenario here, but here was suggested some kind of a top, and now it looks like we are making that top here. And if we look at the composite of only the longer cycles, we see that one really turns down the coming week or so. Then it turns down into a capitulation low in the summer. So the only thing I'm uncertain about is this green cycle I have drawn here, and that's the 6-month cycle. And we typically we had a low going back around March, around September, around March, around September, around March, around September, and now is this the low around March? Are we about to rally here? Is this green cycle a dominant one? Will that one make us do a bullish breakout here and confirm a new bull market has started? So that's the only cycle that makes me a bit uncertain here, because all the other cycles are pointing down here. This does not look like a sell setup, the current situation. We have these oscillations are pointing up. We have momentum, so it's not ripe for a sell setup. Sometimes the market turns down quicker than normal, and it's not impossible to just crash down here, but unlikely, or the odds doesn't favor it. However, if we were to see something like this, call it a topping formation here, a downswing and another upswing making some kind of a double top, then we could have a sell setup in a week or 10 calendar days or so. That could be a sell setup. But if we start to break out here now around the Easter holidays, it doesn't look like a bear market anymore. So as long as we are below this this high in, was it early February or so, as long as we are below that one, could be still in the bear market scenario and look for a capitulation. But if we start to make higher highs here, the odds favor a new bull market, in my opinion. Over to the strong geomagnetic storm. We had a solar storm, and as I have shown, these solar storms often happens just ahead of a major top, but not always. It doesn't always have a bearish effect. Sometimes the market does nothing. So we had a storm in the end of February, and we followed the normal scenario here in gray. The initial reaction is normally a squeeze up to some kind of a high about 1 week after the solar storm, and then we turn down. We may make a double top, a higher top or a lower top here, and then we have the real bearish phase of the correction going on here. And as we see in blue, we follow this scenario. We had a downswing, a deep one, the banking panic, and we had a bounce, and it could have been a shoulder, and then we could have had the real capitulation. But as you see right here, where we were to turn down, if we were to follow this scenario, right here we had the second strong geomagnetic storm, and I have redrawn the scenario here in orange. Last week I said, are we in this position, or is the scenario reset by the second storm, and are we here? And as we see, naturally we didn't capitulate here, we squeezed up, so obviously this blue scenario is dead. Now we have to see, have we started a new scenario from a solar storm. In that case, we should have a downswing coming up very soon, early next week, and then some kind of either a double top, a higher top, or a lower top, a shoulder. But it could go, say, sideways here for the next 10 calendar days or 2 weeks before we start to really turn down here. And then we also have the option that the solar storm has no effect. We could do not follow this scenario at all. So the first confirmation, we should see some kind of a downswing very soon, and I'm hoping for say a double top or a lower top, and then we had the downtrend. So all this is telling me, giving me the same, call it, scenario. We had the 4-week cycle. It's still bullish for another week, but if we could make some kind of a double top here, it may set up for something bearish. Also here, it doesn't look like a sell setup, but if we go sideways for a while here, could be a sell setup. And all my cycles, they are saying down here. If you look at the scenario, this is not a precision tool, but yeah, it's around here we should turn down. It's around here. And also, the 237 calendar day cycle has been dominant for, well, I've been looking at it going back to 1950, and yeah, it's pretty much there all the time. And it's very dominant going back to recent 20 years. And just looking here, we had a low, the COVID panic was a low. And as you see, this is the cycle in red. Here we had a top right about where the cycle said so. The top ahead of the COVID crash was a late top. It stretched, but then we really flushed down. So going here, this cycle low was no clear cycle low, a very bullish one. But again, we made a top around this cycle top, and then a more sideways correction. Here we have made a top just a week or so after the cycle top, and this next one we made a top right at the cycle top. I've been kind of watching this and thinking maybe this top was a bit early. Perhaps we should wait until the cycle top. Maybe the market wants to stay up until then, and so we did. So I wouldn't like to see us going much higher here. We should find resistance at this level, go a bit sideways, and then we could have the capitulation down into the summer, and even we could have a low, in the fall, and at the very best, being bearish, we could even have a low early next year. But if we start to break up here, it's all over. I mean, the bear market. Then that's a new bull market. If we go up here, so I can't be a perma bear. I have to, accept what the market does. We are really at the limit. Been so for a while, actually. We are really at the limit of what we can accept in a bear market. And if we, the cycle low here is not that far away. It's 3 months or so, and we have less and less time for a capitulation here. And if you go sideways, or for another month or so, and no capitulation, you realize that there's no time for a capitulation. So at the best we get a small pullback, and then off we go. So see ya.